Okay. So we're here with Rebecca Trainwrecka Gruitza. I know I'm going to butcher that.
It's Romanian. It's actually Gruitza. You just pretend that the U is not there.
Oh, Gruitza.
So they can put it down as if Gritza.
That's so easy.
I know that's how they write it when they announce it. They just drop the U.
That's a soft U. See, that's easy too. And of course, I knew I was going to butcher that. Fighting Ashley Delk, 1-0. This is your first fight back since your fight with Tecia Torres, right?
Yeah, it is.
How do you feel going into this?
I'm actually starting to feel really solid about it. Really excited. I probably haven't felt this. I'm going to actually use the word cocky. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling that confident. That was a pretty bad loss for me. So it kind of took a while to even get my head back into the mental mindset that I actually wanted to get back in the Asian fight.
Well, it says a lot about your personality to be able to come back from that, because a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people, that's sort of like their swan song for their MMA career is finding out, hey, I got to change things up a little bit, and most people don't. They have their fun, they take their fights, and they move on. So. Yeah,
no, and I'm not, it's not like I'm 22 years old. I'm a 32-year-old fighter. Everyone thinks I'm like 24 years old. I look young. I have good genetics. I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, I'm 32 years old. This is like, how long can you actually do this? This isn't my career. It's something that I do because I like it. I like the sport. I like the athletic side of it and the competitive side of it. But yeah, I think I could have very easily walked away after that. Nothing about it. I knew going into it, I wasn't going to win. I didn't have any confidence that I was going to win that fight. In fact, I didn't even want to warm up for that fight. I was in the back room just sitting. I didn't even want to warm up. I didn't think it was necessary. I would have rather just sat there. I would have rather gone to the bar and had a drink. I may have actually won if I would have gotten drunk first. To be perfectly honest with you, I probably would have had a better chance because that's how mentally unsound I was for that fight.
Well, two interesting points. Number one, I mean this in the most platonic way possible, but you definitely do not look 32.
Thank you.
No problem. And the other thing was, now that you mentioned that fight, I remember backstage. I was actually backstage at the same time you were. And you probably don't remember this. You probably don't recognize me. I'm sort of incognito. But I remember, and remind me, or stop me if I'm wrong about this, but Tecia Torres was warming up and she was bouncing around and, doing whatever she was doing and was really pumped up. And I remember you yelling something at her from the back. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I told her that this wasn't her fucking show.
I remember that, and it was awesome, and it totally killed everything. It was actually, to be perfectly honest with you, and I'm not blowing smoke, that was one of the most memorable things of that evening for me.
Thank you. Yeah,
as weird as that
I'll tell you what, if I could have kept that feeling that I had for the 7 seconds that it took me to spout out those words, I would have knocked her out. Because the way I felt at that second when she went prancing out there and that frickin' tutu, it was not her show. This is not her people. This is not her town. And I live in Pennsylvania. I don't live in Cleveland. But the NAAFS is my home. I work for them now. Those were my people. My brother was there. My mom was there. I think 2 people from my old gym came to support me, which was a joke. I should have had more people there than that. But my feeling was, this is not your show. Who are you to put on a tutu and go running out there? This is not your fucking show, and that's like all I could think of.
Well, it was great. It was a very memorable moment for me. In fact, I've told quite a few of my friends about it. It just hit me as we were talking about it, but just throwing that out there for whatever it's worth.
So then I guess some we didn't meet, but we have been around each other.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. There has been unusual moments, so that's cool. It's very interesting. Now that you mentioned, I completely forgot about that. I should have mentioned that before. So you mentioned old gym. You've made some changes. I've seen some things on Facebook, read some things on Twitter. You've changed your camp, apparently?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll go into the details of what happened, but I do have to say that I'm not somebody that makes rash decisions or that does things spontaneously. I like to think things through. I don't like to make decisions based on emotion, but more based on logic. And when I moved, I was living in New York City. I was living in New Jersey. I started training, and this is redundant because most people know this because I've done other interviews. But I started training as a way to quit smoking, just for fun, at Tiger Schulman's in Manhattan. About a month after I started training, I got jumped by a bomb in Chelsea, and I was attacked. I defended myself a little bit, but I had a couple black eyes and some scratches, and it was really scary for me, and nobody jumped in to help me. And it was kind of then that I realized, I was able to protect myself enough to not be a statistic. Like, I can deal with a couple black eyes and a couple scratches. But wow, what a cool sport that I'm doing something that's good for me, and I'm also kind of learning life skills, and I'm living in New York City. So maybe I should take the sport a little more seriously. So I started training a little bit more. I started doing like grappling tournaments and kickboxing tournaments, and really started getting into it. So, long story short, when I moved from New York, the New Jersey area, and moved back to Western Pennsylvania where I grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of gyms for me to choose from. Like, I knew I still wanted to train. I didn't even, driving an hour to go to a gym wasn't even an option. It wasn't even something that I entertained, because once again, I'm a logical person. It's not logical to spend $40 a day in gas. That didn't make sense. It wasn't an option. So, I looked around in the area, and I found Team Bundy MMA, and I use the term MMA school very loosely here. And it was 20 minutes away from me, and it worked. And, he rolled out the red carpet for a few months, and it was, this is going to be great. We'll take good care of you. I thought that it was a little expensive for what was being offered there. You're calling it an MMA school, and you're dragging out wave masters to punch and kick with a bunch of older people that want to lose weight. Really, but I figured I'm going to make the best of it. This is what I have to work with right now. This is where I'm going to train. So I was there for, I moved. It was probably in around June. I started training there, not last June, the June before. Started training, and actually decided that I wanted to start fighting. So took a kickboxing match for the NAAFS that November. So that means I had been training June, July, August, September, October, November. So it was about 6 months of me training at that gym. Maybe a red flag should have been that my coach / gym owner wasn't able to be there for my fight, and actually had somebody else corner me. Right there probably should have been my red flag to say, hey, you know what? You're not important to him. You're a kick fighter. This is a kickboxing match. He's got other plans. So, I don't know. But again, logic kicked in, and no, this is close. That's normal. All the time does your coach come to corner you at your fight. It's okay. I watched the fight. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It was a kickboxing match. I don't think I looked horrible, but I definitely didn't win. I'm not going to pretend like I thought I won. After that, I still decided I still want to do this. How do I do MMA though? I'm good on the ground. Why am I just going to do stand up? So once again, had a fight scheduled through the NAAFS, but didn't win. But felt good going into it. I got caught in a guillotine. It was what it was. Had a couple more fights. Still fighting out of Team Monday, and there was things that kind of started happening that maybe should have been red flags. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you spar with your coach and you leave the gym not able to walk to the point where the back of your leg, the front of your leg is completely black. To the point where it's embarrassing to wear shorts. I don't know, red flag, maybe just probably not the appropriate way to treat your students. I figure this, I'm paying you money, an exorbitant amount of money every month. I probably don't need you beating the shit out of me. I'm probably better off having you stand on the side and tell me what I'm either doing right or wrong. But once again, illogical. Hey, it's closed. It's 20 minutes away. You're already here. Make it work. Okay? I started to get to meet people through the NAAFS and through other fighters. Met Jessica I. She's a good friend of mine. She would invite me out to Strong Style to cross-train. And I'd go out there. It was just a completely different feeling. Completely different vibe. And obviously, blatantly obvious, different facility. Different styles of coaching and different, just completely different. So I started thinking in my head, maybe what I'm used to over in Niles isn't what I should be used to. And then again, trying to be logical and trying not to rock the boat, I said, no, you know what? Maybe that's just an example of one gym. Maybe I'm being completely off base here with my assessment. Maybe Strong Style is just such a spectacular gym that you can't compare it to anywhere else. So, once again, back to the drawing board, back to Team Monday, and then it was just constantly things happening. I would cry all the time during sparring, crying, out of frustration. I mean, I think it's one thing to be frustrated, when you feel like you're not doing well, but to be frustrated to the point where you are twice a week on the mat sobbing, something's wrong. Feeling like there's the difference between tough love and let me show you my ego. I'm better than everyone else. And I started thinking, you need to keep your eyes open. If this is a sport you still want to continue to do, maybe this isn't the best place for you. So I really started to look around and go and cross-train other places. And eventually got to the point, well, honestly, I didn't even enjoy coming to class. It was boring. When you stand there and listen to your coach talk about himself for longer than you get to do the workout, or I'm not sweating, or I'm not tired, and I'm not learning anything, and I'm not improving, the money that I'm spending every month I might as well be flushing it down the toilet. Because basically I'm putting myself in harm's way. I'm giving you money every month. I get into a cage, and I could potentially get hurt. Because you are not teaching me what I need to learn to take it to the next level, or to even protect myself from not getting knocked out. So,
can I ask you just a question, just from my
please jump in. Yeah.
I just have a question. Okay, so Team Bundy, I don't know a whole lot about them. I do know
not too much to know. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot, so pardon my ignorance to anybody who's listening to this, but I do know that they have two pretty legitimate guys that come from there. I don't know much about the story of their relationships or their particular dealings with Mr. Bundy, but I do know that Rob Miller and Micah Bender are out of that camp. How?
Well, we can. Yeah, I'm gonna get to Micah in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But I can tell you right now that Rob Miller coming out of that camp was Rob Miller being independently and coming to train in our gym a week before his fight.
Oh, okay.
That's all. He was never a part of the gym. I'm not even sure, but Bundy again, so being into anything that could help the name of his school. Of course, somebody with belts dripping off of them, belts on belts on belts. Yeah, can I come train at your gym, or can I stay him out of your gym? Absolutely. But, I've seen him called out on Facebook by some really talented 135ers. I'm with some really talented 135ers that probably could have destroyed him with their eyes closed with one hand. I mean, I used to spar with him when he would show up, and he wasn't difficult. So whatever, he had some belts. He said he came from our gym. He did that embarrassing thing where he jumped out of the cage and face planted under the concrete, which I didn't go watch, but I heard about, and never came back. So, that's Rob's deal. Micah, incredible fighter, incredible talent, has been there and he teaches class, he trains people, he does private training, personal training out of the gym, and that's Bundy's bread and butter right there.
Yeah, I was just because I'm thinking about it from my perspective, and I understand what you're saying. First off, you have no real reason to, you've obviously had some bad experiences there, so I mean that goes without saying. They have produced. I didn't know Rob Miller's deal really with them at all, but I do know that Micah Bender is sort of like their cornerstone professional there. He's a unfortunately, him and I don't really talk anymore based on some business relations or whatever. But the times that I have talked to him, he's a great guy and he's a great fighter. So I was just curious on what your thoughts there were, as far as.
Well, and actually, the story takes a little bit of a turn. Micah and I were both at that gym, and there were a couple guys that were fighting left, or a couple people. Hey, I have to work a real full-time job now. Can't train anymore. But for a while, it was kind of like me and Micah. And we kind of hit this point where he was like, hey, you know what? After the fight with Dish Torres, he was like, Rebecca, as a friend, as a teammate, I want to help you. I want to help you work on your strengths. I want to help with your diet. Like, I feel like you looked really weak going into that fight, which I was. And I just want to help you. And I was like, you know what? And I want to help you too. Like, I know a lot of people. I could probably help you get networks where you need to go. I could definitely help you with sponsors. Let's try to help each other. Let's work together. Let's work with what we have. We kind of have each other here. And everything was going great. And I was going in and, I had my mornings and afternoons free, going in, training with Micah. He was putting me through. I mean, he took the time to put together a legit workout schedule for me with lifting and resistance bands and, everything. Diet, everything, and I was helping him actually introduce him to Cody Tuttle through Foundation, and Foundation is now sponsoring him, which is great. That was a good fit for Foundation and for Micah as well, and he's looking at getting into fighting back for NAAFS, which is great for him because obviously locally we all know that that's where you want to fight. That's the most legit promotion, And then something happened. We decided we wanted to start cross training because that's what good fighters do. They cross train. They go to other gyms. They get opinions from other coaches. They get to work with other fighters. That's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do, and that's what good gyms encourage you to do. So,
it's basically at this point a proven fact that works. It doesn't mean it's always accepted, but for the most part, that's pretty much proven that cross training in mixed martial arts was built off cross training. So, I agree. Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely, no, no need to apologize. 100%. That's what works, and that's what most people do. Whether the coach frowns upon it or not, or may get that little streak of like, you went to somebody else's gym. Like, I'm sure there's that feeling is there, but you swallow your pride and encourage your fighters to do what's best for them. Because what's best for them, ultimately, is going to be what's best for your team, for your gym, for your name. So we actually, Micah and I had a great day. We went out I talked to John Cook out at Evolve and said, hey, I want to come out and cross-train. I actually have some friends that train out there, guy friends of mine, and they kept saying, come out and train, bring Micah. That would be great. And so I finally said, hey, Micah, you want to go out there and train? And he was like, absolutely. We set up a day. Cook said, come on out. They welcomed us. We had a great time. Madigan taught a Muay Thai kickboxing class. Then we did some sparring. It was great. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We even said, hey, let's try to do this once a week, once every other week. This is perfect. This is what we both need. And him more than me. You know what I mean? Like, there's great guys out there for him to train with. So, that was on a Monday. Tuesday, I didn't go train. Wednesday, went back to the gym. Went back to Bundy. Walked in and I even asked Micah, hey, was Bundy at all irritated or mad that we cross-trained or that you cross-trained? He said, no, not at all. He thought it was great. I was like, okay. Because he didn't say anything to me about it. He didn't send me any messages saying, hey, how was cross-training? Or hey, that was cool that you took Micah out to cross-train. Nothing was said, and as soon as I walked into the gym on Wednesday, gut instinct, and I am a woman, so I've got that woman's intuition thing going on for me. And let me tell you, the vibe in the gym from Jim Bundy was not good. And I should have probably said, you know what, let's call it a day and just come in, pretend like you forgot something, and then leave. Should have, and I didn't. It was MMA class that night, which was just some MMA drills, and then sparring for the fighters. So we did our MMA drills, in which you think that a month and a half out from a fight, you would put me with the other fighters so that I could have the best preparation. Nope, he put me with a girl, a nice girl, but I mean, I got nothing out of the class. It was a basic waste of time. But the whole time he sat on the side of the mat and basically barked at me, not like trying to in a helpful way, but kind of in like a real irritated, put out way. Like, not good. Like, I just had that bad feeling. So, but whatever, I kind of sucked it up. And the next portion of the training was sparring. There was 3 of us, me and 2 of the fighters, and both guys, obviously. And he said, "Okay, you're gonna go 100%. You need your headgear, your boxing gloves, shin guards." It was kickboxing, so we did like 5 rounds, and the instruction was to go hard. I mean, I literally with headgear on, I'm not getting knocked out. I don't care how hard you hit me. It's just, I'm not going down. So, got whipped around for about 4 or 5 rounds, and basically listened to him sit on the corner and coach against me. There was not one word of, hey, get in there and do this, or keep your hand up, or do this, or do that. It was, how can I make these guys that she's fighting beat the shit out of her harder than they already are? But you know what? Once again, I stayed cool. I stayed fine. I stayed calm. At this point, the class should have been over. The next class was jiu-jitsu. People were already there, waiting for class to start. I started taking off my stuff, thinking it's over. The impression that I got at that point was, she's not rattled enough, so let's see if we can rattle her even more. The instruction was then, put on your MMA gloves, take off the headgear, take off your shin guard. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. Maybe we're doing something with the ground bags, and we're going to do some kind of ground and pound conditioning drill. No. It was get with somebody else, which was me and one of the 2 other fighters, get in the 50-50 clinch and take the person down and then fight on the ground at 100% with MMA gloves on. How do you think me at 120 pounds is going to fare against a 180-pound fighter?
Well, so, I also, not to interrupt, but I just have one point that I'm curious is, I get that the coach is telling you to go 100% and telling your partner to go 100%. But at some point, doesn't it kick in being a good partner to whenever you have an advantageous position on the person you're sparring with, and you're clearly dominating them, to not hammer them as hard as you can every single time, right?
This is what the difference was from this night, which was my boiling point, to other times in the gym. Normally, this wasn't an all-the-time occurrence, or else I wouldn't have just left.
Yeah.
Normally, the situation was, all right, I really need, she would tell the guy that I'm going with, I really need Rebecca to work on sprawling. I need to work on her takedown defense. So if you could just keep drilling those takedowns. Or I really need to have her work on blocking that front kick. Or, he'll kind of give them an instruction of what I needed to work on. So it's not like, hey, just beat the shit out of her. It's, we're going to have her get something out of this. Normally that's the case, but not right now. Right now the case was,
I'm upset that she went somewhere else. It's time for her to pay for it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting. I'm not trying to imply anything here because, but that's the vibe.
But that was 100% that was what it was. And I knew going into it, this is what's going on, is, Rebecca and Micah are not only teammates, but they're friends. And she's, I don't know if it was an ego thing, like, hey, I'm in charge here. If he's going to cross-train, I'm going to set it up. Because that was ultimately what he was pissed off about, because 3 days before then, he wasn't pissed off. So, for you to have people ground and pounding me on the ground, and normally when we would be doing that type of sparring, there'd be like the TKO rule. where if I'm in a position where maybe I'm mounted, or, okay, she's in a fight, she'd be getting knocked out. I'm going to stand them up. You know what I mean? Or he'd say, okay, I'm going to come in and save you. Rebecca, defend yourself, or I'm going to have to save you. And he'd be like, okay, get up. Normally that would be the case. But in this situation, and I don't even know if they realized how hard they were going, there were points where I was seeing stars. Like, I felt like I was going in and out of consciousness. And basically just clutching on in a fetal position. And it went on like that for however many rounds. And this is when I knew that I wasn't imagining things, because I'm thinking, am I being emotional? Am I just mad? Why am I not walking out? Why am I not leaving? Why there's 15 people sitting here in their gis waiting for jiu-jitsu. Why is somebody not jumping in and saying, like, Rebecca, are you okay? Why is nobody helping me? I must be imagining it. I must be the crazy one. Well, when I stand up and I can't even see straight and I still have one round left, and I look over at Jim Bundy, and he's got this shit-eating smirk on his face, and he looks at me and says, looks like somebody needs to spend more time in my gym doing jiu-jitsu. Boom, ding, 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 ding. I think you have your answer right there about what's going on. I looked at him, and if I could have thought of something wittier to say, I would have. But all I could think of saying was, thanks. And then what was said answered all of my questions, and I knew right then I wasn't coming back to that gym. I said, thanks, and he looked at me and said, was that sarcasm that I just sensed in your voice, Missy? Because if it was, you're going to be a real unhappy camper here in about 10 seconds. Again, had I had my wits about me and not been seeing stars, I would have said, was that a threat? What are you going to do to me in 10 seconds? Yeah, bucko, that was fucking sarcasm, you heard. Damn right, it was fucking sarcasm. But I didn't say anything. Again, there were people sitting there watching. I'm a fighter at the gym. I was trying to be like a role model, especially for the women that were there. Like, hey, be tough. You can hang with these guys. Be tough.
Well,
finish my round.
You're in a bad position too. Yeah. I mean, you're in a bad position overall because you're sort of surprised by this. He's been a mentor of yours for a long time, so you've never seen him in this sort of light before. So it's perfectly understandable that in that exact moment you wouldn't know how to react.
Exactly. It was shocking, and it was really disappointing. I mean, I was legitimately disappointed, and up until that moment. Up until that moment where I looked over at him and saw that look on his face, like, was that sarcasm? Because if it was, Missy, you're going to be a real unhappy camper here in about 10 seconds. And I'm thinking about it now. I would have loved to have known what was happening in 10 seconds. You going to kick me out? Or are you going to beat the shit out of me? Because maybe that would have even been better. But I'd own your gym right now.
Well, that would be assault.
Well, I feel like what I went through was very close to assault.
And I'm going to be honest with you, from a unbiased observer's position, I would say that the only thing that would keep that from being an assault is potentially because you've done sparring and stuff there before. But from what it sounds like,
exactly. There was a very fine line.
That's
and
pretty much
and it put me in a very awkward spot, and especially the fact that there were people sitting there waiting for jiu-jitsu to start, and there were girls there, and they were watching, and I didn't understand, why is nobody, like, jumping in to help me? And I go to leave, we do sit-ups and push-ups, and at the end of class, I get about halfway through the sit-ups, and Micah's standing there looking at me saying, breathe, it's okay, he's trying to be a teammate. He's obviously sensed what happened, and I stopped in the middle of sit-ups and said, fuck this place. Got up, got my stuff. I had tears in my eyes. I sat there and waited for them to pass because I didn't want to stand up and have anyone see me crying. I wanted to leave on a high note. And Jim Monday came over to me and said, can I pull you aside and talk to you for a few minutes? And I looked at him and I said, absolutely not. And that was it. Absolutely not. I walked out to the gym. I got out to my car, started driving, couldn't even see straight, pulled over on the side of 82, going back to Pennsylvania from my house, and sat there and cried for 2 hours. I didn't want to go home because I didn't want my family or my children to see my face beat to shit. I wanted to wait till everyone was at least sleeping. At this point, it it was only 7:30 in the evening. Wanted to wait till everyone was sleeping until I got home. So I roll in the driveway at 11 o'clock. Slip upstairs, look at myself in the mirror. My forehead has welts all over it. It wasn't a black eye, but red. Nose beat up, cut lip. I have pictures of it. I sent you one. And thought, this is what I look like after a fight, or after a training session. This is bullshit. But again, didn't make any rash decisions, didn't put anything on Facebook, didn't put anything on Twitter, didn't do anything based on emotion. Tried to stay very cool about it. I ended up I talked to Ryan Madigan, talked to John Cook, told them what happened, and I said, I don't know what to do, I need a new home. And they said, well, that's unacceptable. Come on here and train. At least come out here and train as much as you can. So I went out there a couple more times, and all of a sudden, the hour that felt so long didn't really feel like much because of what I was getting when I got there. I thought about it, I cried about it, I talked about it, I prayed about it, and it was one of those things where it was just like, okay, this is a sport you want to do, this is the move you're going to have to make. Because in your backyard, there is not a good MMA school. If you want to, even if you're just doing this for a few more years, if you want to be good at it, or even enjoy it, you have to be somewhere where you're in good hands. And I felt like that was the best move that I could have made, and I talked to Cook and signed my contract, and I feel like they're happy to have me. They treat me well. Do I feel like I need to be coddled because I'm a girl or a woman fighter? No, not at all. But are there significant physical differences between a female fighter and a male fighter? Absolutely, there are. Start with the weight, the strength. The list goes on. And yeah, I don't mind if you hit me, if you kick me, if you throw me around a little. That's going to make me better. But I feel that I'm pushed there in a positive way, but I never feel endangered. Do I leave with bumps and bruises? Absolutely. I took tonight off because I was just really kind of sore and felt like I needed a day for my body to heal. But again, it's we want you to get better. We want you to improve. We want to see you win. It's a completely different environment. It's comparing apples to oranges. And if it was 2 hours away, I'd be doing it.
Well, based on some of the revelations that you've made, it sounds like you definitely made the right decision. That's the most obvious thing I'll say tonight, but it definitely sounds like it was time for a change. I've been to some gyms. I've been around the sport a really long time. I've sparred in the days where they didn't even have protective gear and stuff like that. But even back then, when things were crazy and nothing had been developed yet, nobody really knew how to train it the right way, there was always a certain level of respect for everybody involved. And, it's playing the fine line between I'm using my position of being a mentor, and I am assaulting somebody, and it would be very difficult to prove that sparring session A wasn't just like sparring session B, C, D, and E. You just had a bad. From a court perspective, but from what it sounds, it's one of the most. That's like one of the worst sparring gym situation stories that I've ever heard in my 15 years of doing this or being around the sport.
So it was almost as if it felt very much like a hazing situation. And I wasn't new. I'd been around there for a while, so it wasn't hazing, but it was. It was kind of like, I'm going to show you who's in charge here and who runs the show. And it's funny to me because when I started training, I don't know if you're familiar with Tiger Schulman's at all. That's where I started training. And that was 9 years ago. So yeah, I've been around the sport too. It's not my first time at the rodeo. Yeah. I've been to some schools. I've been around a lot of different people, a lot of different fighters, some of the top. And one of the things that we said at Tiger Schulman's and you'd walk into the gym, and it was an MMA school. It wasn't a glorified karate school. I mean, a long time ago, but it's been MMA for quite a while. But always something you bowed and you said, "Oost, oost, 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 oost," and it was a sign of respect, and it was a sign of, if your instructor came over and was showing you how to do something, "Oost, thank you, oost." In the past couple months, Tim Bundy has started throwing around the word "oost," and it really, every time he said it, just actually made me laugh, because I think, what a joke. You don't respect anyone. How are you going to throw around the word "oost"? You're a joke. You're an absolute joke.
Well, I don't think many would argue with you that the transition to Evolve was a smart one. It's one of the top gyms in Ohio. It's produced, their numbers speak for themselves. John Cook is a nice guy. I've met him personally a few times.
Big guy.
Your fight's coming up. It was just actually, the card was just released. This fight has to be a nice breath of fresh air compared to what you were coming from before. How do you feel going into it?
I feel great. Usually I do this mental thing 2 weeks before a fight, where I second guess myself when I say I'm not ready and I'm nervous and I'm not where my weight needs to be, and it's just how my mind works. I'm not at that 2 week point yet. I don't know if I'm going to be there. I don't know if I'm actually going to have those feelings. I feel like, I don't know too much about my opponent. I'm not a shit talker. I don't think she is. I think we're both just two women that love the sport, so it'll be fun. But I feel like my confidence is going to be where it needs to be. My confidence right now is on par with me screaming, "This is not your fucking show" at Keisha Torres. I wake up in the morning feeling like that, and I go to sleep at night feeling like that, and I could get punched in the face and get my legs swept out from underneath me at training, and it doesn't rattle me, it doesn't shake me, because I feel like I'm in a good spot. I feel like they're going to make sure going into it, I know what I need to know, I do what I need to do. So you know how important it is to me at this point. Do I feel like I have something to prove? Absolutely. Coming off of a loss like I had, yeah, right there I feel like I have something that I need to prove. After this switching gyms, wow, I feel like I have something to prove. Not only to myself, my old gym, my new gym. They're letting me fight under their name after me only training there for a month. That doesn't happen very often. I honestly had expected to be training there, but maybe still take this fight as independent until they were comfortable with cornering me. But I think they saw that I was serious, and I'm coming out there and I'm training nearly every day, and keeping an open mind and doing whatever they're telling me to do, and they're they accepted me right into the team. So yeah, I wanna win, and I wanna make them look good too.
Well, it's been I wanted to tell you it's a milestone for me. You were the first female mixed martial artist that I've ever personally interviewed. I don't know why I've never interviewed anybody else. I guess I don't know if my site or myself really appeal to the female department. I haven't really ever asked and never really thought about it, but
right.
It has been a very interesting and intriguing interview, to say the least.
Yeah, there's I think there's things that go on in the sport for women. People ask all the time, I actually recently had a sweet girl. She's in high school and she's writing some sort of paper, and she wanted to interview me for her paper. And a lot of the questions that she asked were very typical of questions you would answer in an interview. And one of the questions was, what are some of the disadvantages that you have as female fighters? And yeah, we have disadvantages, but we've got advantages too. It's a neat world. We do have a lot of camaraderie. Yeah, there's definitely some what's the word? It's the whole Misha Tate Ronda Rousey thing right now. There's a lot of competitiveness. For the most part, I think we all know we're out to do the same thing, and I think a lot of times we feel like we have something to prove just because we are women in a male-dominated sport. When I was in high school, I did pole vault. It wasn't even legal for women to do yet. So I've kind of always been attracted to the sports that were more male-dominated.
Speaking of Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, do you have a pick?
I I want Miesha Tate to win, but I think that Ronda Rousey could win.
Yeah.
I'm a Miesha Tate fan.
I am too, but I personally think that Ronda Rousey is going to be a little too much for her. Maybe not. Maybe the experience factor kicks in, but we'll see. Ronda Rousey seems to be very explosive, and she seems to go out there with the directive of finishing the fight from every second of every minute of every round, which is usually pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, my thought on it, too, is sometimes when you get caught up in all of the hype, it takes over a little bit, and I mean, I'm just wondering which of the two of them has gotten more wrapped up in the hype than the actual, fight itself. But I'm a fan of both of them and look up to both of them, and it's not a question. It's definitely not a question of that. I was going to actually go to the fight, but I'm not going to. But yeah, I'll be anxious to hear how they go. There's so much talent, even in our area, like even around here, there's a lot of talented women. So
I agree. You should
start interviewing more women for sure.
I definitely will, especially after tonight. But I just honestly, I don't have a lot of women. There's other women specific blogs and stuff out there, and I just really don't get approached very often. So
right, yeah, no, I think that I know what you're talking about. With that, the market seems to be cornered, but I personally feel that it's important to branch out and talk to different ones because not everybody might read just a female-dominated blog. I would, I'd be more excited about having, having my story or my interview read by a wider audience. To be perfectly honest with you, rather than you get the same interviews, the same questions, the same stories, the same, to the point where you know what people are going to say. You have the same 4 or 5 fighters completing the same interview every 4 months. So
everybody plays it safe.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really worried about playing it safe right now. I have things that I wanted to get off my chest and talk about, and at the same time, I think also some thank yous to people are probably due. I have to say that I'm blessed to have a handful of sponsors. I'm sponsored by, actually locally, because I'm a girl, I'm sponsored by my tanning salon, which is called Sun City Tanning in Hermitage. They're great. Tanning is expensive, so it's really nice to not have to pay for that, and they're very supportive, and they always come to my fights, and they're really proud. It's great to have a local business support you like that. And also, my first sponsor was Scrap Soldier, and they're based out of California. But Ron is great. He a lot of times does my walkout shirts, does my fight clothes. Things were quiet for a few months. He was working up some stuff with his full-time job or whatever, and didn't print my shirts for me. So actually, Foundation Fight Company that sponsors me as well kind of took over and started doing my walkout shirts and everything. And I just have to say, Cody is one of my best friends, and huge thank you to him. I'm so proud of him. So proud of where his company's going. I know he's busy. He's finishing dental school. He did my mouth work for me. Love it. It's great. My teeth are all on my face. But, for as busy as he is, if I'm having a bad day or a bad moment, or when this kind of thing happens, he calls me back, texts me back right away. He texted me back one time in the middle of doing a root canal. Is everything okay? Are you okay? Just I think when you're in this field, it's hard to trust people. So when you find, a nice group of people or sponsors or, that you can count on and trust, you're really lucky, especially being a female in the sport,
That's why I stick to myself.
Yeah. Did you say did you say that's what you're thinking yourself?
That's why I stick to myself.
Oh, that's why you stick to yourself. Yeah. Yeah. And I work part-time for the NAAFS at the events, and unless I'm fighting, of course, but they're wonderful people. They treat their fighters amazingly. I don't know that I'd fight for another organization. At this point, there's no need for me to, because they provide me with as many fights as I could possibly want or need. Nicole Long's great. Tim's great. The whole crew. They're like family. And if I'm fighting for them, it doesn't matter. They'll treat my opponent with the same respect just because that's how they are. Oh.
Absolutely. Well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm blessed right now, and I'm in a really good spot, and I have managed to surround, at this point right now, surround myself with the best people and the most supportive people, and just cutting out the toxins, and yeah, I'm definitely in a good spot. Way better spot than I was 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm very happy. I know that we don't really know each other, but you know, your story is I don't, without sounding cliche, it's a roller coaster, but I mean, I'm happy to hear everything's worked out for you. It'll all culminate this month. Hopefully, when you get in there, you get yourself a win, you get everything back on track, and you have a new team, and you can breathe easy. This sport is supposed to be fun.
Right.
And it's amazing how some people can make it the least fun thing ever.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I enjoy going to train just because it's fun, even if I wasn't fighting. Like, it's fun. Like, I love where I'm at right now, and there's a ton of people at that gym that don't fight, but they're good. My God, maybe they're only training for a few months, but, like, I was, like, working with a girl out at Evolve, and she hasn't been training that long. She's never fought. But she's able to, like, give me tips. Like, she's able to see what I'm doing wrong and legitimately be able to correct it because she's been getting proper training from the start, as opposed to me, who's now got years of bad habits to break. It's great, and it's fun. People have fun. It's a fun sport. If I wasn't fighting competitively, I'd still like it because it's enjoyable and it's fun to me.
Is there, I know you went through a lot of your thank yous with your sponsors and anything like that. Is there anybody else that you want to mention or throw out there?
Oh, gosh. I mean,
I know that's a wide question.
My family, I mean, I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom. And, like, my mom and dad, like, watching my kids all the time, it's a big sacrifice. And especially, like, now I'm driving an hour, so instead of leaving at 6 o'clock to go train or 5:30 to go train, I'm leaving at 4 or even 3:30. So there are times when my son will get off the school bus, I'll literally see him for 5 minutes, give him a hug and kiss, ask him what his homework is, and say, I mean, he knows the drill. He's like, you going to train, Mom? I won't see you. I'll be in bed when you get home. Okay, good night. Like, bye. Like they know the drill. So, huge thanks to my family. I have, there's so many, like, it seems like locally, even people that I maybe wasn't friends with in high school or didn't really know or went to other schools, or kind of follow it on Facebook or on Twitter, and they're like, hey, I want to come see you fight. I think that's really cool, because people are, in general, just getting more into the sport, and then when they see somebody that they know, or maybe they went to high school with, or maybe I was in their math class, or, and then they're like, and she's a girl, and she fights. If nothing else, they're curious. So they want to come watch, and they want to support, and I mean, that's just across the board. Thank you, because that means a lot to me. Gosh. Yeah, thank yous are really hard, because no matter what, you forget somebody.
Yeah.
There's thank yous, there's fuck yous. I've got a lot of fuck yous. I won't. I think people know who I'm talking about. I don't have to spell that out.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that list is really long. We could go on forever with that. But yeah, I mean, thanking obviously my sponsors, my family, my close friends. I mean, there's sacrifices that are definitely made. It takes a village, especially when you have kids and you want to do this sport. It definitely takes a village. And I'm lucky to have that, or I wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay, well.
I don't know. And anyone, I mean, dating's interesting. Try going out with somebody and, you have a black eye or, a cut lip. Do you have herpes? No, I got punched in the mouth. So it's definitely interesting being a female in the sport, and,
That's a whole nother can of worms that I would love to open. But
yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now that, well, when you spend so much time at the gym, going to fights, working at fights, who are you going to talk to and hang around with? Fighters.
Sure.
Well, let me tell you, I've tried to date fighters. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. because there's too many egos involved. I'll tell you this right now. I tried to date someone who used to fight, and it would be like, you want to watch my fight DVDs? We don't fight anymore. I'm really not interested in them. You know, oh, you gotta see this. Look at this. Let's rewind this. It's like ridiculous. Like, it doesn't work. There's just too much ego going on, and it's like, I just want to be a girl. Like, when I go out with somebody, like, I don't necessarily want to talk about fighting. I don't want to, like, do jiu-jitsu in the living room. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to, you know, like it sounds really bad, but it's like, I don't always want to talk about that all the time. People are intrigued by it, but it's like, I think I've dated my last fighter. I'm done.
Do you want to do karate in the garage?
But yeah, it's like, hey baby, you want to try to pass my guard? Or like, let me try to pass your guard. I want to get in your guard. Like, how cliche are you going to try to be? Like, I'm a girl. Yeah, I fight with my sport, but like, come on. And I mean, it's hard because that's who you're around. And I've had this conversation with other girls that fight, and it's just, we all, like, I have a friend who says, hey, I think it works if you are in the same camp. I just don't think it works, period. Like, I think, like, if you're associated with fighting, don't send me a message on this. You put this in the interview. If you are in any way associated with fighting, do not send me a message on Facebook that says, wow, you're really hot, and you fight? That's hot. I'd really like to get to know you. Just don't even bother, because I'll just delete you. Like, I'm not interested at all. Not even one bit. It's a joke. And you know what else happens when you're a female fighter? You're everyone's flavor of the month. When you win a fight, oh my god, everyone wants to be like that guy that, like, hung out with you or whatever. And then, like, a month later, they're like, okay, I'm sick of you. Or you lose a fight, and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to talk to you again. Like, it's just, it's such a joke. It's like, it's almost embarrassing.
You know, I don't know. There's
Yeah, go ahead. Ask away. Like, I'll tell it.
From my perspective, I look at it and I go, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like being around a girl who could like potentially
kick your ass.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good, so I'm hoping that it wouldn't happen too easy. Like, at least, you know, I don't just get hit with one shot and go down. But I mean, you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened, but.
It's awkward, and then, like, you're sparring with somebody that, like, you used to date or you tried to date, or it's just so loud, and it's weird, like you can see them thinking, like, like, I don't know if I should hit you. Should I hit you? Like, I was sleeping with you. Should I hit you? Like, okay, I'm gonna hit you, and then you hit them back, and then it's like, whoa, she just hit me. You know what I mean? Like, there's the psychology that's involved with it is fascinating. I mean, a grad student should do, like, a thesis on it or something, because there's probably so much to it. It actually is. It's funny. It's funny to me. It's humorous. But yeah, I was actually, on a personal note, and I'll put it in there because at this point I'm putting it all out there. I was actually going to go to. I was going to compete on Saturday at the Ohio Grappling Classic, and I was going to go to the Strike Force fight, and I got asked out by a non-fighter for Saturday night, and you know what I said? I'm going to be a girl. I am not going to go grapple. I am not going to go to the fight and sit there and hang out with fighters, even though, God bless him, my new teammate, Brandon Saline, is fighting in Strike Force. I wish him, like, the absolute best, and I know he's going to do great, but I'm going to be a girl, and I'm going to go out with a boy, and he's not a fighter, and we're not going to talk about fighting.
Well, that's great. I hope it works.
I'm going to get dressed up, and I'm not going to have a black eye.
Well, that is very interesting. I'm happy for
it. It is. I mean,
this is like the typical com-rom, like the whole thing, like all the way to the end. It's great. I'm really happy to hear that you got away from your situation. It sounds like, I mean, just the emotion that goes through this whole thing is it's very explosive.
You know, and I think it comes down to this, that any kind of competitive sport comes with a roller coaster of emotion. Fighting and MMA fighting, even in amateur MMA fighting, you're not wearing headgear, you're not wearing shin guards, you've got those little gloves on. Like, it's hardcore. And you're not, and the emotions that are attached to the sport huge, and it is a huge roller coaster. And so to have your gym be part of that emotion and part of that maybe fear that is getting into that cage, you can't have that. It's just not acceptable. You'll fall on your face every time. So you have to take away, I think, every part of the equation that might be negative in order to get anything positive out of it. So I really feel like that's what I've done. And like I said, it wasn't an emotional or rash decision. It was something that I waited about a week and I made the decision, and but I feel like I put myself in a good spot, around good people, getting the best training that I can get, and I'm anxious to be able to prove that I can do what I know